Let's do it. What is this? The anime tourism problem. I think every medium gets a tourism problem as soon as mainstream media hits, and I think it sucks. It is what it is, and I think that what you have to do in order to stop this is teach the values of what it used to be and not let media dilute it and tell you that it's wrong. That's my short answer to this. Because when I was a kid growing up, if you told someone that you like anime or you like drawing manga or something, it was really, really weird and you were outcast. Like me drawing in class, I was very much an outcast. Not to the point where I got like beat up or anything, but yeah, people thought I was very strange.
Alright, fine.
Then it got mainstream like in 2016.
I'll talk about this. God damn it. So normally I wouldn't make this kind of video, but I guess it's been blowing up in my mentions recently, so
really?
I figured I would maybe give my 2 cents on the matter, even though there has already been a ton of people who have made their own interpretations on the whole thing. But as the title suggests, let's talk about tourists. And no, I don't mean tourists in the traditional sense of, you know, people you see out and about exploring a country or anything like that. I mean tourists in the digital footprint sense. Or
because they actually go back home. Yeah, they actually go back home. These tourists stay and they shit it up.
More specifically, in the subculture sense. You know, people who are just visiting and checking it out, you know, looking at it from the surface and maybe getting a different perspective on it than people who actually live or are a part of said location. And the same thing can definitely be said for subcultures. And today we're going to be talking about the tourists of one particular subculture that I happen to have been a part of for quite a while now. Anime. I think
I would consider myself a tourist, and only because I only started getting into anime, like, properly. Not like Dragon Ball Z or, I don't know, Sailor Moon or, like, you know, stuff like that. I think I would consider myself a tourist purely because I only started watching anime back in, like, I want to say, like, 2009, maybe? 2010? Yeah, like, the first time I ever started just taking anime super seriously is when we had really, really bad internet, and I would watch, like, bits and pieces on YouTube of, like, Naruto anime dubs in, like, Spanish, and I would get, like, super hyped up because I didn't understand what they were saying, but at least it was, like, ahead of what the TV was putting out, so I thought that was exciting. Yeah, I would say that's, like, that was freaking tourism.
I think it's really nobody's surprised that, especially over, I would say, the past 5 years or so, basically ever since COVID happened and everyone was forced to stay inside, and a lot of people over COVID very much got into anime when maybe beforehand they didn't even have a split thought about it.
Or they didn't like it. You guys remember the Anime Man video?
It was due to those extreme circumstances that we were all put into all over the world that a lot of people who previously didn't give a rat's ass about anime or Japanese animation of any sorts came out the other end being anime fans, or at least self-proclaimed anime fans. These, ladies and gentlemen, are what we call anime tourists. Or I guess that's what the internet decided to call them, because
I think the more egregious version of this are people who admit that, like, they hated anime back when they were growing up in high school and thought it was nerdy and stupid. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I freaking love anime. It's like, well, that's not very nice. Like, I don't know why you would admit to that, but I mean, that's kind of strong. At least you're honest.
I only just found out about this term maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it's fucking hilarious.
I didn't know what tourist was until I started hearing people on Twitter saying VTuber tourists. And I was like, oh, this means like people who've only been around in the quote unquote medium, either streamers or fans, who literally didn't know what VTubing was until like maybe like a year or two ago. And I'm like, so technically I'm a tourist because I only started watching Pippa like maybe like 6 months to like Yeah, 6 to 8 months into her debut. I wasn't there for the debut. Some people would classify that as tourism.
And especially over the COVID pandemic, and especially with the blow-up of things like TikTok and short-form media, there has definitely been no ending of this surge of anime tourists who are invading our sanctity and our sanctuous place. And, you know, there is one particular video which I'm not going to give any attention to, and I'm not going to mention names because I've already used it in the thumbnail, and I'm sure most people are already aware of the situation. If you care to know what it is, then I'm sure somebody, or at least 20-something people in the comments have mentioned their names. But a particular video was, you know, sent to me. Not just—
Oh, is he talking about the anime man? See, I didn't watch this ahead of time. Someone just said that I should watch this. Okay, yeah, he's being nice about it. I get it.
You know, people who watch my stuff, but also personal friends of mine who are like, Joey, you're gonna have to see this video. Yeah, and it was essentially very much a me-coded video. You know, this is a video that you would have seen maybe on my main channel like 5-10 years ago or something.
But then that was different back then. I think like the culture has definitely shifted. Mr. Beasting, like now in 2025, is very, 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 very unheard of. Outside of obviously Mr. Beast videos, I think that kind of content is considered slop now.
Like that, where it's essentially a video of a bunch of anime fans, at least self-proclaimed anime fans, who go and rank every single first episode of every popular anime from every single year. When I saw that video, I was like, damn. That's kind of a cool idea. I kind of wish I made that video back in the day. Or, you know, maybe I can still make it today.
I think tier list content is really, really fun. But I also think it's kind of slop content. That's why I've never done it before. I don't know. It could be probably fun. I don't know. Maybe I haven't tried it yet, so I can't say. I always think it's like low effort, but at the end of the day, if you're like an entertaining person, I think the tier list content is really, really fun to watch. Like, I watched Asmund ranking fucking fast food. Maybe I can't talk. Yeah, or when Tectone and Emmy made Asmund eat an apple or a strawberry or whatever it was. I remember years ago. And he's like, they were rating it. And he's like, I don't like this. This is not good. I'd rather just have a Dr. Pepper or whatever.
If you guys want. Yeah. So I was curious, you know, because it's not often that we get to see anime fans, or at least anime content creators in this platform, talk about the medium from that big of a spectrum. You know, most people are usually very quick to talking about the hot shows that are currently trending right now, or, you know, maybe shows that they grew up with, you know, maybe from like the 2010s or the 2000s or the 90s or stuff like that. But it's very rare that we actually get to see people going through the entire lifetime of anime, at least in the popularity sense, or the popular sense of televised anime from, you know, the 1960s or whatever. You know, I've done a couple of videos like that in the past.
I wish the worst. Why don't you read an anime so you don't have to? The entire history of manga explained. Okay.
As you guys have hopefully watched and liked, and you know, although I didn't grow up with the older stuff, I try to understand the significance and the history behind it, because the medium itself would be nothing without these giants whose shoulders all of these other shows have stood on. But man, this video, this fucking video, it was
hard to watch.
Not up to the standard that I was hoping for. This is supposed to be some kind of like drama video, obviously. You know, I don't give a fuck about that kind of stuff, but I just find it really amusing as to just the visceral reaction that the online anime community had towards this video. Like, God, I don't think I've ever seen such a visceral reaction to an anime video in my 12 years of being an Anituber. I thought I had some bad takes. I have been thwarted, and I had a lot of—
But that's an opinion. Like, again, at the end of the day, these people were just being extremely disrespectful. There's a difference between having an opinion and saying, like, oh, well, this kind of sucked, but it's old, and I can understand what where this came from, but that's like an objective fact. Like, it's an old thing. Like, I don't know. I think he's toting the line between being respectful towards them without calling them out, and trying to say, like, between the lines that they were kind of just being dickheads.
People being like, Joe, you gotta make a response video to it. You gotta make your own version of this video. You gotta come back and save Anitube, bro. And, I respect that, and I appreciate all of those kind comments. So if you did, on social media and stuff like that, kind of, weirdly defend me in a weird way, even though I had nothing to do with this video, thank you. But I think I want to use this opportunity instead to just kind of talk about the more broader underlying issue, the elephant in the room, if you will. Because anime tourism, or anime tourists, are a kind of a real thing. And, even though this may be the first time I'm talking about it in a long-form video like this, I have been kind of subtly talking about it, using my short-form content on, things like Instagram Reels and TikTok and stuff like that, which, if you missed that whole train, check this video, links in the description. There is a big reason why I, personally, kind of took a break from making anime content, and it was basically because of this very issue. Like, a lot of people think this whole anime tourism thing started only, like, recently, like, I'm talking, like, a couple of years ago. No, this problem has been around for quite a while now. As much as I think that, yes, it is a problem in a weird way, I do also think it's an inevitability. So to start with, why is it a problem? Why is anime tourism or anime tourists a problem? Well,
because it's changing the industry, and people in the West are trying to change a medium that hasn't really shifted too much in the last, like, 20 to 30 years, and it's showing very obviously. I can't name off the top of my head, but someone was saying that they started censoring certain anime that wouldn't be perceived as weird like 20 years ago, and there's people on Twitter saying, like, oh my god, this needs to be censored. They're in their bikinis, and that's just so inappropriate. I forget what the character was. I think if I could just remember, but, like, my point is that there's people on Twitter who are clearly anime tourists trying to say that this needs to change, and that they're not going to watch anime if it has this in it. It's like, well, then, okay, get out the door. Nobody cares. Just go somewhere else then.
It's a problem for a number of reasons. I think the biggest one may have to do with, the perspectives of those who have been in the anime community, the online anime community, for as long as it's been around. Basically, I would say since, like, the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was Marin, and I think there was, it was One Piece as well. I think from one of the older episodes.
Maybe the early 2010s, at least on YouTube and stuff like that. Because believe me, when I started the Anime Man channel back in 2013, there wasn't really an Anitube community. There wasn't really an anime community. There were, of course, yes, great Anitubers who came before me and who were around before I came onto the scene. And there was most certainly an anime community online on things like forums and stuff like that. But it wasn't so much a community as just, like, a gathering. Because the medium was so still niche and especially new in the Western world, and especially on the online Western world, that there wasn't so much a community of sorts. And it wasn't really until, I would say, like, mid-2010s that it really started to become this, like, community, if you will. Because before then, it was very common in the real world, and I was a big victim of this, that if you came out and said that you liked these Japanese cartoons, you would just be bullied for it. Oh, yes! You like these weird Japanese cartoons with, like, your anime schoolgirls and I mean, trust me, I was there. I was there when the book was written. I've told this story before many times. I drew anime chibis on my bag, like, painted them with, like, acrylic paint. And there was a kid in my class that got so angry at me for whatever reason and said that my anime chibis were fucking gay and shit.
and he spilled orange paint all over my bag and ruined it, and I was cleaning it up off of my bag for the rest of class. Yeah, like, that happened. Like, again, I didn't get bullied, like, physically for it, but yeah, mentally, yeah, absolutely.
Bullied for it in school, you know? Not only being the only remotely Asian kid in my school, but the only kid really who knew about this weird and wonderful world of Japanese cartoons. And so imagine my shock when, over the COVID pandemic, especially, and even a little bit before then as well, I'd say ever since the rise of
Attack on Titan, man. Attack on Titan really solidified it.
TikTok. All of a sudden, those kids who were definitely at school bullying those kids who loved watching anime then turned around and went, hey, you know what?
I think anime's pretty cool.
Anime's actually kind of cool. Because, God, let me tell you, you kids today, I don't want to sound like an unk straight off the bat, but you kids today have got it fucking easy. We ran so that you guys could walk. Now you don't get bullied for liking anime. You get bullied for liking the wrong anime.
Video games used to be... Video games, actually, this just kind of like brain blast. Video games used to be for nerds too, and now everybody plays video games. Curious how anime is going through the same problem.
Can you imagine the amount of privilege that comes
Gamer
with?
tourism.
But all jokes aside, you know, there is most certainly now, because anime has become so much more of a mainstream thing and so much more of a hip and cool thing and an okay thing to enjoy, there is certainly now a new group of people who previously, again, did not even want to say the word anime out loud, but, you know, didn't take the medium all that seriously. And then now, because of things like shorts content and because of the COVID pandemic pushing everybody inside and for years and years,
babies,
and basically people getting so bored to the point where they're like, all right, fine, let me give this anime thing a go. And
you also get oversaturated on social media with it too, so you're more likely to get exposed to it. The first manga I ever got exposed to was Fruits Basket in like 2010 or 2011, and I was only exposed to it because I was really sick with like a really bad throat cold, and my brother went to the library, and it's free obviously, and there were just like maybe I wouldn't say like 10 mangas in the entire library section, and that's it. And he got me one of them, and that's how I found out about Fruits Basket and anime. Because I didn't know that anime was derivative from manga. I didn't know that, because I just didn't bother looking it up. I was a child, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, you really kind of just get overexposed to it over the internet, because internet is way more available than it was back in the day, in like 2010. Because it was slow and, like, you know, you had relatively limited information on the internet at the time.
Enjoying it, it created a bunch of anime fans. And let me just say right off the bat,
anime fans.
I don't think that being an anime tourist is necessarily all a bad thing.
No, it's not, because if you don't have new blood coming in, the medium will eventually die. Not to be, like, grim or anything, but that's kind of how video games work. It's like, if you gatekeep too hard, you will literally kill the medium. You'll kill a game.
Everybody went through that phase.
You can't
at
do
least
it too
once in
partially.
their life. I think when
there's like
back
a line
in like the early 2000s and stuff like that, or like the 2010s, if you started getting into the anime community and stuff like that, I think everybody at one point was an anime tourist.
Yes.
But we didn't call them anime tourists. We called them weeaboos. It's like
kind
of the same thing.
Dude, I haven't heard that word in so long. Because now it's weebs, not weeaboos. Weeaboos is a term from, I would say like the 2010s, where it's like, you want it to be so Japanese, but you're not Japanese. You're just some fat Western American.
If you think about it, it's just like, now it sounds less like a slur. What is a weeaboo? A weeaboo is essentially just somebody who is non-Japanese, who loves anime so much
that they want to be Japanese.
They think they understand everything about Japan and Japanese culture and Japanese subculture.
Correct.
But in reality, they are completely misguided and base all of their information off of fictional Japanese cartoons.
Or the internet.
And they create their entire personality around that so that they could fit in with a niche and fit in with who they think they actually are. It kind of sounds like an anime tourist. You know, it's essentially the same thing. But here is where I would differentiate a weeaboo from an anime tourist.
Right.
And this is purely just my personal definition, so if you think otherwise,
sure.
I'd love to know down in the comments, alright? I think the biggest difference between an anime tourist and a weeaboo is that anime tourists think that their opinion on anime is more correct than everybody else. What do I mean by that? Well, I think that a lot of these, like, anime tourists very much, you know, again, started watching anime over the pandemic and therefore have only really been exposed to, let's say, the past 5, maybe give or take 10 years of anime. And don't get me wrong, in the 10 years of anime, since 2015, anime has certainly changed. You know, the type of shows that get big have changed, the quality has fucking increased, and there have been a lot of merits to the evolution of anime in the past 10 years.
Like Naruto at the start and Bleach at the start in the first seasons are pretty hard to watch. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I love those two, and I would consider that, like, the stepping stone of, like, anime tourism. And I think those are kind of hard to watch. Dragon Ball Z is hard to watch, too. So many fucking isekai. Yeah, isekai slop was very common back then, too.
But I think at the same time, anything that falls outside of the scope of the past 10 years, and anything that falls outside of the scope of how they think anime is and how they think anime should be, is deemed as wrong or incorrect. And I think that's why...
Please tell me he addresses the censorship. I don't know if he does or not, but...
You get a lot of these, like, newer anime fans now who hype up these current shows, you know, these, like, big shonen shows, you know, like Solo Leveling or Attack on Titan.
I love shonens.
Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that. And think that every anime that should be praised needs to fall under that same exact umbrella. That's like listening to a rock band and thinking that all music needs to sound like rock music for it to constitute.
Because they don't understand that anime is a broad spectrum of genres, and there's anime for girls, for young girls, young boys, which are shonen. There's anime that are just slice of life purely. And they think that if something is slow, I'm sure he'll talk about this, but if something has a slow build-up, the people that really love shonens, which is a very common genre within the mainstream anime community because it's so easy to get into. It's like fast-paced, ADHD, like we're really getting up in there. There's fights pretty much right off the bat. If anything has time for build-up, they automatically discard it as like bad. And that shit pisses me off because I've heard that opinion about so many anime that take just a little bit to ramp up, like Frieren, for example. Frieren has a little bit of a build-up before you jump right in, and there's people who unironically think it's a bad anime because there's not killing right off the start, right off the rip, which is so stupid.
As music, which is ridiculous for me to even say out loud.
Yes.
They don't understand that, you know, not only has anime evolved over the past 10, even 5 years, but, you know, if you go back to, like, 2000s anime, or 90s anime, or 80s, or 70s, or 60s anime, the art and the medium has evolved vastly. Just like how Led Zeppelin sounds completely different to, say, you know, Muse, you know, just as a broad...
Or Led Zeppelin from fucking 50 years ago compared to now. They've been around for a while, and I'm pretty sure they still make music, right? Like, they've changed, I'm sure. Like, you can still compare it to that. You don't even have to extrapolate that far.
It doesn't justify the fact that Led Zeppelin is no longer relevant, or it's crap, or it falls outside of music. That's what these anime tourists, at least from what I have seen online, claim. You know, they think that they have entered this space and gone and looked around and gone, hey, everything that is, like, not epic fights and shonen and amazing animation and hype doesn't fall under what I constitute as a good anime. Therefore, it must be bad. I don't remember where I saw it, but I remember seeing a comment on like a TikTok or a YouTube video or something where somebody called these anime tourists, or at least this new rise or era of anime tourists as the Columbus era of anime.
Columbus?
You know, much like what? Christopher Columbus, who
I don't get it.
Went to the Americas, mistook it for India, and called the natives now a term that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and claimed the land for themselves.
What? Just call them Indian? Oh my god! Come on, man! If you're explaining it for the sake of explaining it, come on.
Because
not allowed to say. Oh, come on! I'll say it for him. People said that they called them Indians, even though they were not Indians, because that's what they're called now, and then now it's called Native Americans. I'll say it for him. Don't you worry.
You know, he was like, "Well, I discovered it.
Apparently,
and
I don't know.
I'm not
guys. Like a history buff or
this
anything.
is my place now." And I was like, "Holy shit! This is exactly what these anime tourists are doing. They're like coming to these unfamiliar lands, planting their flag in the soil, and going, 'We own this land now.' Out of the way, previous people. Your opinions are irrelevant now because you are old and your time is up and you don't know what good anime is anymore." But at the same time, they claim all of this. They don't respect the history of the medium. They don't respect how the evolution has happened. They don't respect the cultural significance behind the evolution of the medium. They just look at it as something like cool and pop and fun and a good way to get the attraction of the huzz. Yes, I did die a little inside
I hate that he said that out loud.
Saying that out loud. And you know what? I'm thinking about all of this and sitting here and talking about it and being like, shit. Am I the problem? Like, have I just turned into such an unk now that I can't accept the fact that the online anime community has changed and the ethos of it has been replaced by these new and fresh faces and these darn kids nowadays coming to take over the land that we once held the flag on? You know, I don't know. Because I'm sure there's a couple of people.
I think it's a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, the fact that they're trying to change the medium is what's ridiculous about this whole thing. This wouldn't be so bad if they just didn't try to change the medium for it. Which is already evidence of it. With anime dubs that they want... This is a great example. Anime translators are changing things now because they want it to be more hip and with the times. To use slang from, like, the current year to translate the anime to watch into English. It's mind-blowing.
People in the comments... They
already started doing it very subtly.
Like, or
not so subtly, but you know.
Watch anime anymore. Ow. Well, you know what? Maybe there's a fucking reason for that. Maybe it's because the way that I see the anime community now is not the same anime community that I was a part of and I grew up with. And I'm sorry if that makes me out to be an unk, but trust me, kids. You will feel this in about 5-10 years from now, whether you like it or not. Now, in saying all of this,
then you're going to be old.
In my opinion, one positive thing that came out of this influx of anime tourists. And it's the fact that it really made the anime industry take itself a lot more seriously. Because we wouldn't have nearly as many anime movies, like big budget, big screen anime films. We wouldn't nearly have as high of an animation quality and production quality as we do now. We nearly wouldn't have...
The people that were consuming the media, they did pave the way for better production because they obviously got more money. Like, back in the day, anime was very niche, so you just did what you had to. You were very limited.
Many just
So yeah, I mean, it's not all bad.
Made. If it wasn't for this new influx of this demographic that was previously uninterested in the medium. Regardless of how...
I will tack on, though, this has led to extreme burnout with studios at the same time. That has caused problems with certain studios. Because they want more content and they can't give it to them.
And how, quote-unquote, mainstream it has gotten. I think, as an anime fan, we like to see the medium evolve. We like to see the medium get better in terms of just quality. Like, regardless of whether you don't like One Piece, or you don't like JJK, or you don't like Solo Leveling, or you don't like all of these, like, big mainstream shows that are getting these, like, movies now, you can't deny that a lot of these shows look absolutely fucking gorgeous. Like, I've only seen clips of the new Demon Slayer movie that is out in cinemas right now, and
I need to go watch that. I didn't get to watch it.
Fucking astonishing how good this fucking movie looks. Like, it's almost making me consider going to go watch it, even though I didn't even finish season 2. A couple of...
Okay, valid. I love Demon Slayer! I get it, though. It's shonen slop. I love it. I love shonen slop.
Now, the new Chainsaw Man movie is coming out, and I didn't think that they would be able to get better at the animation from the anime series, but just from the trailer, yeah, it looks freaking incredible. Like, we would not have anything like this if it wasn't for these anime tourists. Like, if anime was still just as niche of a thing in Japan, or especially in the West, we wouldn't be getting shows like this. We would probably still be stuck in, like, you know, early 2000s quality, which, you know, I have a soft spot for. Don't get me wrong. That was my freaking childhood.
True.
But at the same time, I can also recognize that a lot of the shows don't look that great. And
the amount of recuts they also had to do, especially with, like, Dragon Ball, when they had to, like, fluff out the animations, it was rough. When you'd see the same shot of Goku lifting his arms up, like, 10 times, because, you know, why would I redraw it from a slightly different angle? Like, that makes sense. Like, I'm not trying to diss on it. It's just, it's kind of funny to point it out that the reason why that happened is because of budget limitations, so...
haven't really aged all that well. And you know what? In a weird way, this kind of influx of anime tourists has also kind of taken me out of retirement. Again, I mentioned this in my previous video where I talked about reels, or, you know, the fact that I started making more short-form content revolving around anime. These, like, I guess, quote-unquote anime tourists, if you will, that I have seen on things like TikTok and Instagram, have almost inspired me to start talking about anime again, because, my god, I thought I had some bad takes on anime. It almost inspires the bully in me to be like, hey, you know what? I feel like I need to teach these kids what
teach them a lesson, old
criticism
man.
and opinions are all about.
But this is kind of how, like, the old weebs back in, like, the 80s and 90s, the ones that had to literally, like, ask for imports of VHSs and DVDs with, like, poorly translated subtitles. That's how they felt about people that started getting into anime in, like, the 2000s and 2010s. So I kind of see where it's coming from. Like, it goes both ways.
It's so fucking funny to me, the amount of people, every time I upload, like, an anime-related short or an anime-related TikTok, or, you know, I comment on the video that inspired me to make this video.
Right.
Just the amount of people either, like, apologizing to me, being like, we owe this man an apology, or the fact that people are, like, I don't know, genuinely excited for me to come back to talking about anime and stuff like that. Look, at the end of the day, what am I trying to say here? Am I trying to say that, hey, go out there and bully all the anime tourists off the platform, or that, oh, anime tourism has ruined the sanctity of Japanese cartoons? No, I'm not really saying any of that at all. I think, if anything, if you are an anime fan who is not an anime tourist, and you're saying all this thing about, like, you know, get all the anime tourists out of here and stuff like that, I just don't think, you know, you should take them all that seriously. I personally have been having a lot of fun just kind of roasting anime tourists and, you know, just...
shame them. Don't roast and bully them and tell them, you know, to go to Home Depot. Just make them feel ashamed for their fucking retarded opinions, you know? You shouldn't be for censoring anime. You shouldn't do that. You're being a dumbass. Where's the line?
Kind of, in a funny way, making fun of them for their bad takes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. They're just opinions. And yeah, you know, some people might be like, oh, but, you know, if you have a big following online, then you have some responsibility to, you know, give the right information, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're all just opinions, man. If you want to believe that Solo Leveling is the next coming of Jesus, or you want to believe that Astro Boy is the greatest anime ever created, that's cool, dude. You can feel that way. That's totally valid. But what these anime tourists need to realize, that as valid as it is to have opinions like that, you're also not free from any criticism either. So look, I'm not going to drag on this video much longer. All I'm going to say is this. If there are any people watching this video who identify as an anime tourist, or as someone who maybe got into anime over the COVID pandemic, I'm first of all going to say, welcome. One thing you will come to learn very quickly is that the anime community, the online anime community, are the biggest bunch of unforgiving dickheads on the internet. But at the same time,
I think that goes for anyone that has a lot of passion in a medium, man. You could say that about almost anything. I'm gonna be realistic. Like, car people, I don't know, like PC builders, motorcycle people, vintage antique car people. I think it doesn't matter. I think it's about embracing the dickheadedness and voicing your opinion in a polite and at least relatively normal fashion. Because at the end of the day, nobody really has a problem with you stating your opinion, as long as you're not trying to change everything about the medium that you both enjoy. I don't know, like, if I could make like an appropriate analogy with like cars, but it's like, oh, well, we should add 5 wheels to a car because like it'll go twice as fast. And then the people that are like into cars are like, you're a fucking retard. It's like, yeah, you are a fucking retard. And that's where the free market of ideas comes in. Yeah, it's more efficient. Trust me, guys.
Don't take it all that seriously.
So I'm talking about the anime censorship. It's like, I don't think it's a good idea.
Take your time with exploring the medium. And I think most importantly,
and understand it too. Like, the people that are saying like, oh, well, slice of life is not cool and it's for girls and it's gay, and it's like, shut the hell up, fucking idiot. That's not what this is about. Let people enjoy things, okay?
Come to appreciate the medium for what it is. Even though you personally may not agree with all of the different aspects that make anime, for example, you know, all of these like high school romances, or these questionable ages that some of these characters have, or some of the fact that, I don't know, older anime are maybe boring to you, or anything like that. Just try to understand and try to appreciate the culture and the subculture for what it is. Because regardless of whether it goes against what you morally believe is correct or superior, it ain't gonna change for you.
He's talking about when they were reacting to a clip of a dude that quote-unquote looks like he's 30, even though he's wearing an anime school uniform, talking about romancing and wooing a woman who is also wearing a schoolgirl uniform. And it's like, they were like, whoa, bro, look at this guy, he looks like he's 40. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't matter because he's wearing a school uniform. Like, that don't mean that he's also a kid. Like, just because he looks old doesn't mean that it's, like, weird or anything. I think you're thinking about it too much, buddy. I think you're the one that's having a fucking problem.
Just one person who watches Japanese cartoons going against 70 years of history that was created by a bunch of Japanese people back in the 60s. Just enjoy those shows for what they are, and if you have opinions on some of them, I say, don't be afraid to express them. Because you know what? Everyone started off as an anime tourist. It's just that anime tourists back in the day were self-aware enough to maybe, I don't know, take a little bit of time to actually explore the medium before expressing their opinions about it online. And at the same time, we took our time to appreciate the medium for what it is, the art for what it is. Because at the
it's like the people that cry about fucking lolly VTubers. It's just like, I know this is like a sensitive topic, but at the end of the day, you're still a fucking VTuber, man. And that's what people call VTuber tourists. It's like, you're allowed to just say, like, oh, well, I don't like lollies and I think it's weird. It's like, okay, that's fine. But, like, when you say, oh, this needs to go, and everyone who's a lolly VTuber needs to fucking get not extradited, expelled from the community, it's like, that's not how it works, buddy. That's just not how the world works. Sorry.
End of the day, regardless of how you view it or not, it is an art. And
then
much like any art medium, there's a history behind it, there is a culture behind it, and it takes a lot of time to, like, get your foot really into that realm. I mean, fuck, I've been making anime content online now for over a decade. What, are you scared of a four-letter word, idiot? I still go out and want to learn more about the medium and you know, learn about how it came to be and what it will become. Because yes, even though there are a lot of shows in the medium that I absolutely love, and some that I absolutely despise, and a lot that I still haven't seen yet, I want to know more about the medium, and I love the medium for what it is. And if you are one of those people who don't appreciate the medium, don't understand the medium, don't give a shit about the history, don't give a shit about the cultural significance of all of this, maybe don't make a tier list video trying to dissect every single anime.
Oh man, a little bit of call out right there. You know, a soft call out. I mean, is he wrong? No. No, that was a good video. Thank you, Joey. That was quite something. Quite something.